How does a love end? Then, does it end? To tell the truth, no one, except for the others, ever knows anything about it. A kind of innocence conceals the end of this thing conceived, asserted, lived according to eternity. Whatever the loved being becomes, I never see him disappear. The love which is over and done passes into another world like a ship into space. Lights no longer winking. The loved being once echoed loudly, now that being is entirely without resonance. The other never disappears when and how we expect. This phenomenon results from a constraint in the lover's discourse. I myself cannot, as an enamored subject, construct my love story to the end. I am its poet, its bard, only for the beginning. The end, like my own death, belongs to others. It is up to them to write the fiction, the external, mythical narrative. That was Roland Barthes in The Lover's Discourse. About 2,500 years before Barthes wrote these words, Euripides was also thinking about love, death, and things that dissolve and disappear. His play Alkestis opens with the death of its main character, a woman who has generously offered to take her husband's place in Hades. The death itself is somewhat protracted and takes up just over a third of the play, from the opening lines to her death in line 395. Repetition and paraphrase are a frequent feature of these lines, such as those leading up to her death, which contain so many paraphrases of "I'm dying" that one begins to wonder if this might have been the inspiration for Monty Python's Dead Parrot sketch. Shortly after she finally runs down the curtain to join the choir invisible, the chorus turns to Admetus and addresses him directly, unfurling a satin surface of moderate reasoning that is shorn again and again by his violent morphemes, by the irreducibility of his grief. In 1988, the Mexican songwriter Tomás Méndez released the song Paloma Negra. The lyrics are in Spanish, a language in which just one letter separates the present indicative, as in no vuelves, you do not return, from the imperative, as in no vuelvas, do not return, such that a non-fluent speaker could easily make this slip. In Paloma Negra, the imperative occurs in the line, Y aunque te amo con locura, ya no vuelvas. Although perfectly easy to translate, one cannot say such things in English. One cannot really say them in Spanish either, which is why there is singing. If it weren't for singing, a lot of very important things would go unsaid. When Bach's lovers speak, they say, I repeat to satiety, I am the motive of a hovering music, my discourse is not dialectical, it turns like a calendar, like an encyclopedia of affect, like a synodic whirling dance, etc. Synodic is from the Greek, as are many words relating to planets, medicine, biology, etc. Synodikos, of or relating to an assembly or meeting, but that's not what's interesting. Let's break it a bit more. Syn, with, odos, way, or path. A synod can be the meeting of the paths of two heavenly bodies, that minute when they pause in their whirl to stare at each other. In the grey, there are flecks of blue. Latin, etc. is calqued from Koine Greek, kai ta etera, and the other things. Here's a piece of linguistic trivia for you. The word calque, a direct translation of the morphemic elements of a word or the words of a phrase, from one language to another, is a loan word, from the French calquer, to trace, to copy, while loanword itself is a calque of the German Lehnwort. A calque retains the internal structure of the word or phrase and the concept anchored to it, but changes the sound. A loanword retains the sound, but adjusts the concept. Both of these phenomena are often the result of what is amusingly termed bilingual interference. In fact, it's a question of masks. Words exist in the world veiled in both sound and meaning and make their way among languages, sometimes in one guise, sometimes another. But some words pick a veil and stick to it. Attic Greek had a particularly rich vocabulary of interjections expressing grief, vocalisms that poet Eamon Grennan refers to as acoustic units of pure feeling rather than explicitly semantic units. In these words, ai, io conai, io moi, ototototoi, etc., the typical relation between sound and sense is inverted. The word recedes into vocality and from there into silence, into that languageless distance that lies beyond everything it is possible to say. I think Maurice Blanchot alludes to this in Le Dernier à Parler, where he writes of Celan, Ce qui nous parle ici nous atteint par l'extrême tension de langage, sa concentration, la nécessité de maintenir, de porter l'un vers l'autre, dans une union qui ne fait pas unité, des mots désormais associés, joints pour autre chose que leur sens, seulement orientés vers. Repetition is the first step towards dissolution, the first sign that things are falling apart. This is a fact Alkestis illustrates when she utters the words Ake makeitis, ake metis, o horas nekuon es aulan. Somebody takes me, somebody takes me, don't you see, to the courts of dead men. When the chorus comforts her interjecting husband, they are, as they are wont to be, matter of fact. An insuperable fate has befallen you, no limit to set on your pain. Still you must bear it. You are not the first man to lose his wife. Disaster appears, crushes one man now, afterward another. There is a song from the Dodecanese with the lyric Ahi ithela namunaroma buvanis tamaya su buvanis. In this lyric, the lover wishes to transform herself into a scent so that she might enter the beloved's body. To want to be the air that someone breathes, let us consider for a moment the potency of that wish. Or is it a foolish wish? The wish of a person who is in the process of extending one foot over the edge of a cliff, his chirpy white dog egging him on. The problem with wanting to dissipate is that one is condemned to pure potential, immaterial, null, meine reine Hypothese, as I was fond of calling you, but not to your face. In one of the many translations of Euripides Alkestis that I have perused, there was one I haven't been able to track down again, in which Thanatos says to Apollo, "Your many words are worth nothing." Δεν έχει να σε δώσει πια, pero no tiene ya nada que darte. Nulla di più ha da darti. Il n'a plus rien d'autre à te donner. Verder heeft hij je niets te bieden meer. He has nothing left to give you now. Nun hat dich nicht mehr zu geben. Nu heffer han ekki meira að gefa þér, etc. accompany you to the emergency ward one cold evening in June, because you have sliced open the index finger of your right hand while opening a tin of tomatoes. And because you are drunk, we are all drunk, the blood runs fast, ending up in places from which the next morning, hungover and still soft with sleep, we will not be able to back-engineer the cardinal trajectory. So there we are, outside the waiting room, just a few degrees shy of Arctic's 3 a.m. daylight, your shirt collar dotted with crimson archipelagos, and you are smoking and giving me fashion advice. There should be no words on you other than your own name, you say, coy as usual, so I rip the rubber logo off my cycling jacket, say, there, is that better? But you are displeased when the doctor calls all 7 syllables of your name. In we go, and she finds us amusing, our jovial ginger doctor, with a piercing in the center of her bottom lip, and for a while, I don't remember why, we are seated at opposite ends of our drunkenness, of the room, and you look small and frail all the way over there, a frailty so pristine I am compelled to photograph it before traveling through the tunnel of our gaze to sit next to you as the doctor slips a needle between the parted folds of your flesh. And even in my advanced state of inebriation, the eroticism of this moment is not lost on me and only intensifies as you sink the fingernails of your left hand into my palm. And for all my sympathy for you, for all my desire to care for you, for all my love, I love to watch you suffer. I love to hear your speech unmake itself into gasps and silence. I love to hear your vocal folds pressed soundlessly tight against each other, and the thing is, you know words, you lean into them like a skillful dancer, but now they have abandoned you. The ironic commentary, the playful quips, the fashion advice, no more. And as you sit there in what appears to be unbearable pain, I remember Maurice Blanchot's The Last to Speak, in which, reflecting on Paul Celan, he writes, "What is speaking to us here reaches us through the extreme tension of language, its concentration, the necessity to maintain, to carry one toward the other in a union that does not create unity, words henceforth associated, yoked for something other than their meaning. Such a language, often so hard, not hard, something strident, a shrill sound beyond what can become song, never comes to produce a language of violence, does not strike the other, is not animated by any aggressive or destructive intention, as if the destruction of self had already taken place, so that the other is preserved, or so that a sign borne by obscurity is maintained, pour que soit maintenu un signe porté par l'obscurité, das bewahrt sei ein durchs Dunkel getragenes Zeichen." Might speaking be to hope that there might be something to decipher and thence to enclose oneself again in the illusion that meaning or truth might be free over there in the landscape where the trace does not deceive? But before I can remember the answer to this question, I am woken from my reverie by your involuntary spasms, like sleep starts, but sharper on the entry of the second needle, adrenaline to slow the bleeding, and I stroke your arm to soothe you, thinking that to my many fetishes I can perhaps add the fetish for silence, a silence that is not a pause or a void, or if it is a void, it is less a lack than a saturation, a void saturated in voids, a message in excess of itself, encoded in your clenched fingers, leg, face, vocal tissue, the whole apparatus of your proud and tender self fallen apart.
Two, yes. Thank you.
Where's that pointing? Bram, do you want him to speak into that mic again?
Bram?
Other gentlemen?
I do.
It's okay.
You catch that, right? Yeah, keep speaking into that.
Hi, again and again and again.
You got it?
What is that?
Kazoo.
Escape.
You were blowing your nose? Yeah. Oh.
Escape the zoo? I don't know. Εγώ δεν μιλάω πια αγγλικά,
Pide que el camino sea largo. Pide que el camino sea largo.
Wünscht dir eine lange
Pide que el
Fahrt.
camino sea largo.
Wünscht dir eine lange Fahrt.
Pide que el camino sea largo.
Δεν έχει
Wünscht dir
να
eine
δώσει
lange Fahrt.
πια.
Pero
Pide que el camino sea largo.
no tiene
Wünscht dir eine lange Fahrt.
ya nada.
He has nothing left to give you
¿Qué?
now.
Wünscht dir eine lange Fahrt.
He has nothing left to give you now.
Wünscht dir eine lange
no
Fahrt.
tiene ya nada que
Δεν
dar.
He has
Έχει.
nothing left to give you
Δεν
now.
έχει να δώσει πια.
Wünscht
Pero
dir eine
no
lange
tiene
Fahrt.
Δεν
ya nada que
έχει.
darte.
He has nothing left to give you now.
No tiene,
Wünscht dir
έχει.
eine lange Fahrt.
no tiene
Δεν έχει να δώσει άλλο
ya
πια.
nada.
Wünscht dir eine
Pero
lange
no tiene
Fahrt.
ya nada que darte.
Nada.
Wünscht dir eine lange Fahrt. Wünscht dir eine lange Fahrt.
Alta tecnología, calc high technology. Alta resolución, calc high resolution. Correo electrónico, calc
Wünscht dir
electronic mail.
eine lange
Disco
Fahrt.
compacto, calc compact disc. Enlace, calc link. Nave espacial, calc spaceship. Rascacielos, calc skyscraper.
As
Ratón, calc mouse. Tarjeta de crédito, calc
you
credit
set
card. Alta tecnología,
out
calc high technology.
Ithaca.
Alta resolución, calc
Hope the
high
voyage
correo electrónico,
is a long
Als
electronic
je
mail.
de tocht aanvaardt
Disco
naar
compacto,
Ithaca,
calc
wens dat de weg dan lang mag zijn.
of adventure,
Vol
calc link.
avontuur.
full of discovery.
Το πήγε μόνο για την
De
Ιθάκη.
kiklopen, de
Να έρχεσαι.
lijsttelefoon.
Tarjeta
Να
de
είναι
crédito,
μακρύς ο
Zijde hoef
δρόμος.
je niet te vrezen.
Γεμάτος
En de
Die
υπηρεσίες.
Cyclops
Γεμάτος
angry
γνώσεις.
beside it.
Wanneer je denken hoog blijft en
Don't be
verfijnd,
Λαγιστρώνους και τους κύκλοπες. Το θυμωμένο Ποσειδώνα να μην φοβάσαι.
de woedende Poseidon zal je niet
Ja,
treffen
staat
wanneer je
roze.
niet in eigen geest
Think
meegaat.
like
Ποτέ δεν βρεις.
As long as you keep your thoughts
lascia ch'io pianga mia cruda sorte
Venimos de Papua, venimos de Aria, venimos de Zulu, venimos de Papua, venimos de parsley, eye, purple, spot, blood, smile of beautiful lips, an angel or in the rapture of penitence. You, waves, divine shuddering of viridian seas, the peace of pastures dotted with animals, the peace of the furrows which alchemy prints on broad, studious foreheads. Oh, sublime trumpet, full of strange piercing sounds, silences crossed by worlds and by angels. Oh, the Omega, the Alta Tecnologia, Cult High Technology, Alta Resolution, Cult High Resolution, Correo Electronico, Cult Electronic Mail, Disco Compacto, Cult Compact Disc, Enlace, Cult Link, Nave Espacio, Cult Spaceship, Rascacielos, Cult Skyscraper, Raton, Cult Mouse, Tarjeta de Credito, Cult Credit Card,
Heroic tenor.
Alta Tecnologia, Cult
Go on,
Technology,
Plunge in the deep of your house.
Cult High
What you have suffered is enough for tears. Your pain is great. I know. But you do no good to the dead. Never again to look on the face of the wife you love. An inseparable fate has befallen.
Are you hurting?
No limit to set.
I know you're hurting, but are you really?
Your pain is
Go on.
great.
Still,
I know.
Go on.
You must bear it.
Go to your house.
You are not the first
Never again
man
to
to
look on the
lose
face
his
of the
For
wife you
tears.
loved hurts
Your
you.
pain is great.
Disaster
I know,
appears,
but you do not good to the
crushing
dead.
set
one
on your
man
pain.
now.
Never again
Still,
to look on the
afterward,
face of the wife
You're not the
you
first man
loved
to lose
hurts
his wife.
you.
Disaster
Go on,
appears.
An
go
inseparable
on.
man
Plunge
fate
in
has
the
befallen
deep
befallen you.
of your
No
house.
limit
Go
What
on.
you have
set on your
suffered is
pain.
enough for tears.
Plunge in the
Your
deep
You must
pain
bear
is
it.
great, I
You're not
know,
the first man
but
to
you
lose
do
his
no
wife.
What you
good
have
to the
suffered is
dead.
enough
Disaster
for
appears,
Never
crushing one
again
man
to
Your
look
pain
on
is
the
great.
face of
another.
the
I know.
wife
To the
you
dead.
loved hurts
Go
you.
on. Go on.
An insuperable fate has befallen you, no limit to set on your pain. Still, you must bear it. You are not the first man to lose his wife. Disaster appears, crushing one man now, afterward another. Go on, plunge in the deep of your house. What you have suffered is enough for tears. Your pain is great, I know, but you do no good to the dead. Never again to look on the face of the wife you loved hurts you. An insuperable fate has befallen you, no limit to set on your pain. Still, you must bear it. You are not the first man to lose his wife. Disaster appears, crushing one man now. afterward, another. Go on. Plunge in the deep of your house. What you have suffered is enough for tears. Your pain is great, I know, but you do no good to the dead. Never again to look on the face of the wife you loved hurts you. An insuperable fate has befallen you. No limit to set on your pain, still you must bear it. You are not the first man to lose his wife. Disaster appears, crushing one man now, afterward another.
Natasha, LaTasha, Rudolph, and Emilio. And thank you, Bram.